Okay, we can start now.
Riaan, please go down. I would like to explain what's the influence of plant available silicon on crop production. I will just give you some new trends and very short, some important facts, and then I will share with you some of the products we have, SilGro, SilCat, and CibuSil. So please go to the next slide. Riaan, it was very surprising for me to see in this publication of Tibana in 2016 that in the year 2016, more than 2,000 trials was done in the US alone with silicon. So still, it's a very important element where there's a lot of work being done all around the world. It's being regarded by the American Plant Food Control Association as a beneficial substance. So the plant will not die if it doesn't have silicon, but it's definitely beneficial if you do spray it. And I think I will skip the next 2 points, just maybe going to the last point saying the International Plant Nutrition Institute regards silicon especially important under stress conditions when the plant is under some kind of stress. So just important facts, you know, maybe as an introduction. If we go to the next slide, please, Riaan. There's a lot of silica in soils. As you know, 28% of the Earth's crust consists of silica, but the plant cannot use this. The plant can only use one form called monosilicic acid, and this is the only form that's available for the plant for uptake. The plant can take it up via its roots or via its leaves, via active and passive mechanisms. You get some kind of crops, especially the monocotyledons or the monocots like rice, sugarcane, wheat, barley, that really react well on sugarcane. And then mostly the dicots reacts a little bit lower, like for example, sunflower will not react as aggressively to silicon as maize or rice, for example, or sugarcane. Yeah, and once the plant is taking it up, it can become a hard polymerized type of silica gel. So frequent application of silicon is relevant. It will not be bad if you can do it. In some crops, like row crops, in South Africa, we can only spray it once. So we only spray one time, and it's good enough to see a difference in yield and the growth and development of row crops. Maybe the next slide, please. Riaan? You can just see in terms of the soil removal rates for a variety of crops that, for example, for sugarcane, between 500 and 700 kilograms of silicon is being removed per hectare per year. So it's quite a lot, and we have to give this back to crops. And that's why we developed silicon products. Maybe we go to the next slide. Riaan, this is just to indicate again the most important crops, maybe that will react the best in terms of silicon application. You can see rice has almost 4 or more than 4% of its dry mass in weight of the shoots contains silicon. So it's quite a lot. Sugarcane is quite high, corn, wheat, soybeans, sugar beet, barley, tomatoes. So this is the crops that really needs a lot of silicon, and I think this is where we must focus maybe in the beginning. Our market is on these crops. Maybe the next slide, please, Riaan. Riaan, this is the most important beneficial effects of silicon. So I will run very quickly through them. If you apply monosilicic acid to the soil, you will see a slight increase in the soil pH, which is good. We know that we can also help against heavy metals, which is in the soil, which is a problem for human health. We can bind them up in the soil. We can help against aluminium toxicity at a low pH soil. We can make the plant mechanically stronger if we use silicon products. We can also activate the PR proteins, which help the plants against biotic stress conditions. We can also help the plant to make more antioxidants. It specifically, and this is a very important focus for us, help crops against sodium and salt stress, and also against something like drought. So let me maybe show you a few photos. If you go to the next slide, Riaan, you can see that I will just explain these 4 types of abiotic stress conditions: drought, aluminium, salt, and nutrient imbalances. So as you go down, I think drought will be the first one. From Hattori and his friends in 2005, this has been published on sorghum. You can clearly see from the picture the differences left where you applied silicon under drought conditions versus the left. You can see the plant looks much better. So to apply silicon, you can also help plants against dry conditions. If we go to aluminium, you can see a lot of scientists worked on different crops all around the world for the past 20 years or more, and found that silicon can really help against aluminium toxicity, which we normally see, in very sandy, low pH soils. So maybe you must just keep this in mind. If you have areas in the States which is low in pH, in terms of salt stress, Riaan, oh, you can go one down, please, Riaan. Thank you. You can just see here that this trial was done on barley, where silicon was applied together with sodium chloride, which is table salt, on the left-hand side versus the right-hand side, and silicon really protects plants against salt stress. So this is something you can also keep in mind. Please go down. And on low pH soils, you know that aluminium normally binds phosphorus, making it not available to the plant. But if you apply just silicon in the red circle, compared to the control, the amount of P in the plant increased. So it shows that in low pH soils, silicon can really bind aluminium and make phosphorus more available, which is a huge thing. And I really think that we must really spend more time and energy on this topic, Riaan. If we can show this and prove this also with our products, I think a lot of companies will buy it from us. Maybe we go to the next slide. I would just like to say, by applying 1 liter or half a liter of CibuSil, or maybe 10 kilograms of SilGro, we can never give 300 kilograms of silicon back to the soil. So we rather focus not on the physical, but on the biochemical contribution of silicon to a plant. And that's what I would like to explain in the next slides to come. Please continue. So SilGro is a powder product that we designed to be coated onto dry fertilizer, dry granule fertilizer. You know that Yanni specifically asked that what can we do for this all these farmers that apply granules to the soil, dry fertilizer. We can coat them with SilGro, and what's the benefits? It contains plant available silicon. It will keep, especially urea, which is very hygroscopic. It will keep it dry. Yeah, and we see a difference in the plant development and yield. So if you go one down, Riaan?
Yeah, but I see they are not here. So.
Oh, they're away.
Yeah.
Well, I called him again.
Okay.
Maybe I can call Yanni. Ja, Yanni, jy's weer terug.
Yes.
Okay.
My internet is cutting in and out the whole time. Sorry.
Okay, that is good. Then I'm going to put down the mobile. Okay.
Okay. Thanks. Bye.
Right, Yanni, you are back again.
Yes. Sorry about that.
So I just wanted to say again that SilGro is a powder that we coat onto dry granular fertilizers such as urea, it also supplies silicon to the soil and to the plant, and also improve the plant vigor and the yield of crops. So if you go one slide down, please, Riaan. Riaan, we use a natural polymer to coat the powder onto the granules for them to stick. And this is just how it looks. You can go one down again, please, Riaan. And here you can see the difference between urea uncoated on the left and then urea coated with SilGro on the right hand side. It's just a more brown coloring, but a well coated product. You can go to the next slide.
Sorry, a question. So do you buy it like that, or do you coat, or do you have to coat it by yourself? Is it?
Yanni, how we do it in South Africa, we have a large fertilizer company that buys the SilGro and the coat grow from us, and then they do the coating in a drum blender and then sell it at the premium price. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And there's a huge demand for this because for urea, everyone has urea. But if you can make something unique that works better, that's not getting so easily wet due to a decrease in the hygroscopic factor, you know, of urea after the coating of SilGro. Yeah, I think there's a huge potential for this, and yeah, you can easily ask a few bucks more for this urea if you are a fertilizer company. Yeah. We have done some trials just to prove that this coating of SilGro onto urea also have beneficial effects in terms of plant vigor on wheat. And you can see in both the aerial as well as the root parts, there was an increase in the vigor of wheat. The same was for maize. A 15% increase in grain yield was seen for maize with a trial that was done. With urea, normal urea versus the coated SilGro urea, right? Company from Brazil also did some work with SilGro and CoatGro on wheat. If you go to the next slide, please, Riaan, you can see left is NPK without the SilGro and the CoatGro, and then different rates are being used from left to right. You can see the differences in growth of wheat after it was coated. So I think we have enough data coming around the world to show that this is working. We luckily have Isabel also with us today, which can also confirm what's happening in China. But in China, some work was done by the Nantong University. You can clearly see on rice, the top row versus the bottom row that was coated on top versus the control NPK fertilizer at the bottom, bigger plants, quicker developed. It's just amazing technology, I must say. We also developed another product called SilCat. SilCat is a product that we specifically developed to stimulate microbial activity in the soil. So if we go one down, please, Riaan. We use a method we call the FDA method, which is a published method, scientific method, to measure the activity of soil microbes in the soil. And if we go one down, you can clearly see at week 6, the red line being the control, and over 6 weeks, how the soil activity of microbes went down. But for the fertilizer that was treated with SilCat, it actually went up. So we can really stimulate the activity of soil microbes using SilCat. This was a second study that was done, showing exactly the same from 0 to 5 centimeter at the top layer of the soil. If you go deeper down, the standard fertilizer versus the coated fertilizer with SilCat, meaningful differences in terms of the activity of microbes when you use SilCat coated fertilizer. Grain yields are improved on maize. You can see 2 seasons of data, left and right, 2014, 2015. Okay, next slide, please. Again from China, coming on rice from Nantong City in the Jiangsu province. Left control, right SilCat treated fertilizer. You can see it for yourself, Yanni. I mean, yeah, you don't have to be clever to see this difference. Next slide, please. Again, a study that's coming from the Nantong University that was done on maize. On the left-hand side, we have a seed treatment with ComCat. In the second block is the NPK fertilizer treatment, then NPK plus SilCat and SilGro coated on the fertilizer. And then totally to the right side is NPK plus SilCat, SilGro plus a seed treatment of ComCat. And you can clearly see that's the best treatment. So if you make a seed treatment with ComCat plus you have the fertilizer being coated, yeah, it's like going to McDonald's and buying a hamburger and chips and not only just a hamburger. Let's go to the next slide, please. This is just coming from China, showing that by the application of SilGro and SilCat coated fertilizer, we were able to reduce the heavy metal content found in rice, in the rice seed itself, by 23%, which is quite amazing, and showing that this treatment can reduce the uptake of heavy metals into a rice plant. Please go to the next slide, please, Lijuan. Some yield results. We also have a liquid silicon product that contains a high amount of plant available silicon. This was sprayed foliar in 3 different areas in South Africa on wheat, and you can clearly see that there was an increase in yield. Maybe we go to the next slide. A lot of our focus at the moment is on silt stress. It's a big problem all around the world, that salts are accumulating in the soil, and we want to see whether the application of silicon via CibuSil, via the irrigation system, for example, can reduce this negative effect of the salt. So if we go down, please, Lijuan, I will explain the graph. There was 2 studies, a study 1 and a study 2. So we have a standard EC at the bottom, a control that did not get any silicon, and then where CibuSil was applied at 1 liter per hectare via the irrigation system. And you can see there was an increase in the aerial dry mass. If you look at the second part, which says EC 300 and EC 600, that means we took up the salt index to 300 and 600 by adding, just more sodium and to the soil, and then applied the CibuSil. And you can see even at the EC of 600 millisiemens per meter, there was an increase in the aerial dry mass as well as for the second study on the right-hand side. So I think there's a lot of more work that was done. If we go to the next slide, Lijuan, for example, I always say 1 study is no study, so we need more. This is a third study that was done, again, by the university, showing on the left-hand side, there's 4 treatments. The first one is the control. Then the second one is CibuSil S applied at 2.5 liters per hectare through the irrigation system. Then 5, and then an external silicone product. You can see, just note the difference in the color of the leaves, the size of the ears, on top. On the right-hand side, this again was the containers irrigated with a high EC salt water, and you can again see the control versus 2.55 liters, bigger reproductive organs, better color, longer stems, less effect of the salt. So I think this confirms that CibuSil by itself can really help against salt stress. Maybe we go to the next slide, please, Lijuan. Oh, and I really hope that you learned something from this presentation, and I see that plant available silicon can really make a contribution as a beneficial element for sustainable crop production. Thank you.
Thank you.